So let's talk about what has been a wild 24 hours in the baseball world. Let's start with the big signing of the offseason, as Kyle Tucker is on his way to the Los Angeles Dodgers on a gigantic contract that has sent the baseball world all over the place. So, Major League Baseball's evil empire now resides in Los Angeles. After that was the nickname of the Yankees for a long time, the Dodgers have one-upped what the Bronx Bombers of that era were doing with the signing of Kyle Tucker, a $60 million contract that, when you factor in luxury tax and everything, will cost the Dodgers $126 million. And there are a lot of different ways you can go and look at this one. Let's start with what it means for the Dodgers, and obviously the World Series champions get better. And from a baseball standpoint, I think there's a reason why this aspect of it hasn't been discussed as much, and that's because we already were talking about the best team in baseball, and now it is tough to comprehend when you have a top of the lineup of Ohtani, Betts, Freeman. Now you're adding Kyle Tucker to it, with then Muncy behind, and Teoscar Hernandez, and Will Smith, one of the best catchers in the sport. This is the juggernaut, the likes of which we have not seen in a really long time. And look, like the Dodgers, obviously, back-to-back World Series championships. They won this year not playing their best. This was not their best season. And they got pushed to the limit by the Blue Jays in a series that, when you look back on it, Toronto probably should have won. When we're talking about different decisions that could have been made in the 18-inning game, when you're looking at the ball that gets wedged in the outfield, and just a couple, we don't have to go back over it, but the Blue Jays had a lot of opportunities to beat the Dodgers, and LA still comes out on top in a season where they weren't their best, in a season where they had a team that felt like a team of destiny going up against them. And now, like, Sasaki is only going to get better. And then you add in Diaz at the back of that bullpen, which was the only, like, flaw that this team had. And now, instead of, okay, well, let's just make a bit of a tweak here in the outfield, you go get the best free agent in the sport, then it feels very juggernaut-ish to me. So for the Dodgers, like, I don't begrudge the Dodgers for what they are doing here. This is the system that they are in, and I think more teams should be like this. Instead of, okay, well, we have this hole, well, we can plug it with this guy. It's like, okay, we have this hole, let's get the best player available for that. So, like, credit to them. I wish more teams were as aggressive. And the Blue Jays have been aggressive, but it has fallen short a number of different times. I was saying with the Bregman contract that it's tough for me to analyze contracts in baseball because there's no salary cap. Just pay them. If you can afford it, pay them. And all these teams can afford it, so just do it. I had a tough time saying, okay, well, this guy's overpaid. Well, this guy's overpaid. Like, well, look at what the Blue Jays just did. They made $100 million for their owners with their run to the postseason and within a run of the World Series. $100 million. So that pays for any investment you want to make in any player. And so I was saying, like, man, I don't, like, it's tough to say there's a bad contract in baseball. These have come close. This is an absurd amount of money to be paying what is probably seventh most important player on your baseball team. Just an insane amount of money. A $60 million contract for Kyle Tucker. When I saw the news, I was really frustrated by it. And then you see the contract, it's like, you can't even get upset at the Blue Jays not doing that, or the Mets or the Yankees or whoever. Like, that is absurd to sign that guy. And for Tucker, I don't begrudge going out and getting paid, because that's a lot of money, right? Like, that's that absurd amount of money. I would like to be the one on the receiving end of a absurd amount of money at some point in my life. That being said, some of the reasoning in the reporting behind it feels borderline cowardly when it's like, well, he didn't really want to go to Toronto and he didn't want to be like the face of the franchise type of a guy. So he thought he could go to the Dodgers, still be competitive, still be a big part of it, but not have to be the guy. And it's like, man, that just kind of goes against a lot of what you would want someone making that amount of money to be. So I joked about it. We did a Twitch stream when the news when the Bo news broke, talking about a few different things, and I joked, but it's not entirely inaccurate. If Tucker would have signed with the Blue Jays, there are some things that obviously we'd be overlooking, and now that he hasn't, they all of a sudden become main character plots for him. But you did hear some stuff about how he's not awesome in the locker room, and now to have that come out and say like he didn't want to be the one kind of carrying everything, but still be paid like someone carrying everything. It just, there are a couple of red flags that are popping up around this guy that maybe make it feel like this is not the worst player that you missed out on. Talent-wise, there's no question about it, and he's going to be amazing with the Dodgers and everything like that, but it's just, yeah, there's a couple of things that have popped up that make it a little bit like, maybe an unanswered prayers sort of situation happening. But again, if he signed with the Blue Jays, I would not be talking about, hey, a couple red flags. So I'm fully admitting some bias on this. On the Blue Jays front, I said this again on the Twitch stream. This, I think, needs to signal to Toronto that a strategic shift has to happen now. And look, they got to within, again, a heartbeat of the World Series a few times. So what they did worked last season. But this whole go out, make a big presentation, a big splash for the big name free agents, and hope that it works and have it stall out for a while, and then, it didn't work, what are we going to do? This has been 3 off seasons in a row. And now Toronto, this offseason, got their work done early, at least, so they could afford to just kind of sit back and wait. But if they were maybe that aggressive in the Bo market, maybe our next segment was going to be about Bo Bichette sticking with Toronto, right? Like, it was obvious who the apple of their eye was, and it is feeling more and more obvious that the Blue Jays are being strung along in these to boost up the value of these contracts rather than a real legitimate thing. Because there is never going to be a better time to recruit players to Toronto than now. When you hear all the stuff about the clubhouse, all the stuff about how this team was amazing for families to be with and all of that. And then to add on to it, they gave the Dodgers an incredible scare. This was the time that they were going to be able to recruit someone big like a Kyle Tucker to be able to come in and really just put that team away. And they didn't do it. And so now I think you have to accept those guys aren't coming to Toronto, whether it's because of Canada, whether it's because of this, that, and the other thing, who knows? But they're not coming here. They don't want to have to get their passport out every time they come home from a road trip, which seems like the most pampered ass shit you could think of, but that apparently is where these players are coming from. So, whatever. I think you now have to pivot and try to own the second tier of free agents and try to, okay, we have our star in Vlad. We had a secondary one in Bo, and that's gone away. But you have your star in Vlad. Now let's build around it with like the second tier of guys and really own that area and continue to improve the draft develop system that they have going on. That there were quite a few success stories from this minor league system over the last 18 months. I think there need to be more of them now. Like this isn't working now. It's 3 strikes and you're out. I think you have to pivot now strategically if you are the Blue Jays. And we'll talk more about what they have missed out on with Bo here. Like, obviously, that's the next thing that we're going to be talking about. But for them, this is still a good offseason. Like, it is still a successful one. And this is still a team that is better than the one that exited the World Series. But that is because of the pitching now. The offense is not. For a 162-game season, it's not. Like, they made a great run in the playoffs without Bo Bichette, but I don't think they get to the playoffs without him. And that's, like, the guy who almost led the league in hits with missing the last month of the season. And they really missed him in that last month of the season before they were able to turn it around. After Kirk got thrown out at first base from right field. So this is obviously a hit for Toronto. To not get one of these two guys would have made them the stone cold lock favorite out of the American League. And there's still time. I think there is probably still a move coming for this Blue Jays team, but they're going to have to get a little bit more creative in everything that they are doing. So that's the thoughts kind of from the Tucker side, from him, the Dodgers, and the Blue Jays. What do you guys think? Have I been unfair in any of my assessments of this? Let me know in the comments, and we can chat about it down there. And while you're at it, share this with some of your baseball fan friends, whether it is sharing in the misery of Tucker joining with the Dodgers or another free agent that got away for the Blue Jays. Let me let your baseball friends know that we're thinking about them, and we can keep that conversation going with all of them.